بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. These are episodes inshallah ta'ala specified for the student of Qira'ah. So how does he start his journey of this beautiful Qira'ah world? So number one, the most important and one of the most asked question from the student of Qira'ah, what Mushaf should we choose? Okay, so the question comes from an idea, a perception, and a way of doing something, and that is to actually mark the Quran in the margins. So on the sides of the Quran, you've got little margins depending on the size of the Quran. We actually mark the Qira'at, we actually mark the letters, and we actually mark, for example, the word that is being recited, Maliki, for some Qurra, and then Maliki for some other Qurra, etc. And then when presenting it to the Ustad, it makes it much easier. So this is a way adopted especially in the subcontinent. In the Arab world, so that's a footnote, in the Arab world, you actually have another way, a complete different approach of how do they learn and do they study Qira'at, but inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala we will touch upon that in another video and in another series inshallah ta'ala. And this is one of the objectives of the channel as well, to expose and to show what is the bridge, so then we can benefit. So the bridge between the Arab and the non-Arab in studying the Quran and studying the Qira'at, and this is of course one of the objectives of the channel, so that we can derive maximum benefit from both worlds, and maybe why not combine both different ways to make it even easier and even more efficient for the student of Qira'ah. So first of all, starting with the Mushaf. Naam. So the first thing to consider in regards to choosing the Quran, choosing the Mus'haf, is the size. So we have, for example, here the small size Quran al-Kareem, when we can see clearly the margins are quite small on the sides. Okay, so what you will be using the most in Qira'ah is these margins here. Okay, and then on top of the words and underneath the words, you need to make sure there are sufficient space so you can actually write small letters. And then on the side you need to make sure there is sufficient space to write notes. As you can see here, it's actually difficult to write notes here, and it's actually difficult to write any small letters on top or underneath. However, it's possible inshallah, and many of the students of the past actually used this Quran, the normal 13-line Mushaf that we find actually everywhere in any bookstore inshallah ta'ala. Now, secondly, we've got a Mushaf. So this the same version, however, in a bigger format, as you know, the middle-sized Mushaf. The middle-sized Mushaf will allow you to write a bit more notes, as you can see, okay, because it is larger, so the quantity of notes will also be larger, of course. And then on top of the letters and underneath the letters, you will have more space. So for you to write letters underneath, so it will be very easy. Letter, when I say letters, is basically the letters that represent a qari. Okay, for example, here you can see minnari, minnari. Okay, so you will have, for example, some qurra that will recite minneri. So then, therefore, to know who recites like that, you will actually write a letter underneath or on top of that word. So you need a bit of space underneath the word or on top of the word. Now, in regards to bigger masahif, so you also have something which is bigger than that in the market, and it is here with me right now. And this is actually the Mushaf. Well, this is a very big Mushaf, and you will actually find it in bookstores. In some bookstores will have it, some won't have it. So basically, you've got so much space, which is obvious, no need to explain. And then you've got lines underneath each ayah of the Quran al-Kareem. You will actually have different lines, so one additional line every time. If you want to write notes, this is very good. You can actually write so many. Now, do you need this kind of Mushaf? Honestly speaking, you don't. Many would think, oh, I need this Mushaf because you've got so much space, let me buy it. It's not about buying a larger Mushaf. It's about buying what is the most efficient for the study of Qira'ah and for the markings. So the reason why this Mushaf, the bigger Mushaf, is not really efficient is majority of those who has done hifz previously, so they are huffaz of the Quran, so they will have certain photographic memory. So therefore, they will picture the page in front of them. Now, when looking at this Mushaf, you've got lines in between that were never in the 13-line Mushaf anyway. So it will actually disturb a person to see where he is reciting at. And this is not something very good to do. One of the best choices that I found, alhamdulillah, is after having many masahif, small masahif, big mushaf, etc., etc., I have realized that what I need is actually the margins. So now I came up with an idea of printing an A4 paper. So the PDF of the Quran al-Kareem, you can see the page here and then look at the margin. However, it's not a massive mushaf like the other one, and there is no lines underneath it or on top of it, so then it doesn't disturb the hifz. The reason why I have done that is because I did not find anything like that in the market. So maybe there is, and if you do know, inshallah, just please write on the comments, inshallah. It will be beneficial for a lot of people and a lot of new students of Qira'ah, inshallah. Now, number 3, the color. Yes, the color of the Mus'haf. Although we should not buy any cheap Quran, because after writing the Qira'at in the Quran, it will become a masterpiece. Okay, it will actually become something very, very valuable, and a lot of effort has been done into it to write every single Qira'ah into the entire Mus'haf. So when on the completion of that, the Quran, that Mus'haf will be very, very valuable. However, it's not because it's going to be too valuable, very valuable, that we should choose, very beautiful Quran as well. And this is a mistake that I have done myself. I bought very good Mus'haf, expensive Mus'haf, design Mus'haf on the margins, orange, and some of them are actually green, very nice looking. However, what's the efficiency? It's not really efficient, because the day you make a mistake on the sides, you cannot do anything. You cannot remove it, you can't hide anything. But if you do have the white Mus'haf, the white margin, you can always put some T-Pex on it neatly, and inshallah it will erase that mistake, and then you can correct it nicely, inshallah, nice and clean. Now, for example, I have another Mus'haf here. You can see this Quran. It's beautiful, of course, it's very beautiful. This is actually a Moroccan Quran. This is amazingly beautiful. You can see you've got space, the margin is not too bad either. However, it's orange. Now, you can't really use this Mus'haf to write, because again, if you made a mistake, you cannot erase it. Now, number 3, and this is the last part of it, the paper, the quality of the paper. You need to look for the Quran that the paper is good enough. Now, for example, alhamdulillah, in the print that I have shown you, the paper here, that page, this paper is very suitable because is a 80 grams paper, okay, the A4 standard 80 grams paper, and when you write on it, it's very easy to write on it. The paper absorbs the ink properly. Now, some of the masahif, it's a bit coated. The paper is like coated, okay, thicker. When you write on it, it doesn't look nice and the ink doesn't go well on it. So you have to choose a good Quran in that sense as well, the paper quality, inshallah. So you can have a look for yourself in different bookstores. Otherwise, you can choose this best option, inshallah, which is to print your own PDF Quran. And this is really an advice which is very, very valuable. And I wish somebody has said this to me before I started my journey, because I took a lot of time, for example, to write many different masahif of Qira'at. And if a person did this once, he knows what it is. What about if you do it several times? And this is exactly what happened. So inshallah ta'ala, we will discuss how to mark the Quran al-Kareem, and inshallah ta'ala, we will also discuss some other tips of how to start the journey of Qira'ah. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.